capable of applying this topic in your programming code or not? Okay. So if you have any doubt regarding any portion, then you can ask me in this class. Otherwise, I have to ask you the question and at least have the glimpse that whether you are understanding the topic or not. But it's my bad luck that when I ask you the question, all of you are in a silent mode. Okay, look, from this constructor point, from this constructor concept, basically, there are lots of questions you can be asked in your interview session. If you are going for any on-campus or off-campus interview, whatever be the mode, Java is a vital part. If you can, first of all, you will be asked to choose particular subject, 2 or 3 subjects that you are comfortable with. And that should be in such a scenario that at least 2 or 3 core subject and one procedural language and another non-procedural language that you have learned in your throughout the BTech curriculum. And it is easier and it is the normal scenario for all the students who are pursuing BTech course that they told that C for the procedural language and Java for the object-oriented language. So this is by default in your interview session, these 2 programming language. I'm not just supporting the Java. You will also be asked from your first learned procedural language, that is C programming language. Okay, so these 2 parts, that whatever be your core subject that you have written in your CV, that may be the OS, that may be the networking, that may be DBMS, that may be data structure and algorithm. Besides that, you need to keep preparation of 2 programming language through which you can implement whatever the subject you have studied in your BTech curriculum. These 2 are 2 separate way that you need to organize for your interview session. First part, that is the core subject, and the second one is the implementation part. And for implementing the knowledge that you have acquired from that subject, from that core subject, you need to go for the programming language. And that we all know that the programming language, there are 2 basic categories, either the top-down approach or the bottom-up approach. So that either you can follow the procedural language or you can follow the object-oriented language. At least one programming language from these 2 approach, top-down or bottom-up. Okay, and we all know that we are familiar with C programming language from procedural part, and the object-oriented part is Java. So in your interview session, Java is also an important part, important field, and it is most of the cases that you will be asked for the basic concept of constructor, basic concept of class, basic concept of object, object reference, like that. If you are able to grab this concept, then only you will proceed to the next one. That is the method overloading, concept of inheritance, method overloading, overriding, all the concept, and the package, the exception handling. Okay, in this way, you need to keep the preparation. So at this point in the lab session also, you can also ask us that what is your doubt. But in theory portion, in theory class, if you have any doubt, you can also tell me. Look, in this class, I will also use the virtual mode platform so that if you have any doubt, you can ask me. You can justify the knowledge that we have acquired from our theory class. I'll try to show you the source code for a particular topic also. But it should be from both of the end. Okay, from the student section also as well as from the instructor section. So have you any query regarding the constructor? If you have any query, if you are not able to answer it, then you can also tell me that portion also, that you are not able to understand that part. Any query? If you don't have any query, then we will go for the next concept, that is the constructor overloading. Any query? Only Shoel and Mithilesh are answering. None of the others. Why? Pratik Pradhan, Pratik Mondol. Have you any query?
No, ma'am. No, ma'am.
Okay, fine. So let's go for the next concept, that is the concept of constructor overloading. Is the screen is visible to you?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, in TCS and PDF download option is not showing.
In TCS and
PDF
sorry,
download option. Yes, ma'am.
okay,
Now
okay.
I see.
PDF डाउनलोड हो रहा है कि नहीं?
ऑप्शन मैम मतलब दिख ही नहीं रहा है, मतलब डाउनलोड का जैसे मैं क्लिक करता हूँ ना मैम तो लोडिंग होने लगता है।
लोडिंग के बाद क्या हो रहा है?
लोडिंग के बाद भी मैम कुछ भी प्रोसेस नहीं होता, बाकी सब प्रोसेस होता है लेकिन जो है लोडिंग के बाद कुछ होता ही नहीं है, मतलब प्रोसेस करते ही रहता है।
Okay, I will change that, so in that particular notes, and then I will ask you to check it again. Okay, I'll do it by tomorrow. Then check it by tomorrow second half. Okay, check it once again, and then confirm me whether it is opening or not. Maybe there may be some problem in decision section also. From this morning, I also found the problem in MS Team. Okay, so whatever be the part, just look at this constructor concept. I think all of you have familiar with the concept of Java constructor. We don't have any doubt. This part. Now look at this part. In our previous day example, we have already started the concept of constructor. That is, in brief, it is a special type of method whose name is same with the class name and whose don't have any return type. Okay. After that, the next part that is most vital, that how many type of constructor you can define in your Java programming language. These are the three basic type that you can define in your Java programming language. That is no argument constructor. You are already familiar with that. Next one is the parameterized constructor, and third one is the default constructor. Okay, so go for the example of every one of it. No argument constructor means you are just writing down the constructor name. That means a method. You are just declaring a method with the same name of the class, as well as there is the first bracket, that is the symbol for method, and next there is a body. But within this method, you are not passing any particular argument. If this is the case, then definitely you will say that you are creating a constructor which has no argument in it. Normally what happened, if there is the class variable or if there is the instance variable that are present in your class, then at the constructor you are declaring the variable. You are declaring basically the argument through which you can assign the value to this class variable when a particular object is created of that class to access the method of that class. Okay, this is the normal scenario. But it is also, there is a possibility that you can create a constructor without any argument of it. What is the utility of it? We will check it in the coding section. Okay, in today's class. But first of all, try to understand that what is the meaning of this no argument constructor. If you are just declaring a constructor within a class, and that constructor doesn't have any argument in it, parenthesis, then you can say that that constructor is a type of constructor that is known as no argument constructor. Okay. This example, in this class here, main is a by default this is main class, and in this class we are declaring a particular integer variable. Okay, that may be the instance variable of some type. Okay, Next, just at this right now, we can omit this private section. That is the access specifier. Just a minute. This private section, when we will study about the package, then we will check that what is the meaning of this private, public, and protected access variable or default access variable. Okay, so this is your constructor. Look at this. The main restriction of the constructor, that is the class name should be same with the constructor name. That is happened here, and the constructor doesn't have any return type. Okay, so both the constant are satisfying in this line. So in this constructor, we are not passing any argument to it. Rather than we are assigning a particular value to the instance variable within this constructor. Clear what we actually have done? Within a class, we have declared one integer variable that is named as a I. After that, we are creating one constructor of it, of this class. And within this constructor, we are assigning a particular value, that is a static value, to this variable that is declared here as a I. But there is no argument in this constructor. Okay. After that, we are just showing one statement, that is constructor is called. And within the main method, we are creating the object of this main class. After creating of this object, we are just call the value of this object. That is the value of I. Okay, so what will be the output? Will be your output. First of all, when the constructor is created, this will be called when the object is created, this constructor will be called. So what will happen? Within this constructor, first the value 5 will be assigned to the to the instance variable I. And after that, there is a statement that is constructor is called. So at the very beginning, this value initialization will be happen, and after that, this line will be printed. Okay, that's why this line is printed first. That is constructor is called. After that, what is the next statement that you need to execute? That is SOP. In this SOP, there is a value of I, and you can access the value of I, that is through this object. So that we are written here, that is obj.I. So the value of I will be 5 now. Now, how this 5 value the object will get? Object will get the value of I, that is 5, through this constructor. So without using any argument, you can also initialize the value to your instance variable. Okay, this is the use for this no argument constructor. But normally it is the essence that you will use the argument to your constructor, so that whenever you are creating the next object, we are creating another new object, another new real life entity of that particular template, so that you can assign it any different value to it. Okay, now look at this. If in this point, that in this line, after this line, if you are just creating another object. Okay. We are creating another object here. Obj is the first object, obj1 is the next object or second object. Okay, and also you want to print the value of I. Value of I, that is what I. Then what will be the output? Can anyone of you tell me? Familiar with Java can tell me what will be the output?
5.
No, not only 5. What will be the output? Okay, your answer is correct that the value of I will be 5. This line will be printed. But there is another point also. Constructor is called, this line will also be printed. Because here you are creating another new object. Whenever you are creating object, that means you are allocating memory for this object. And allocating, in case of allocation of the memory to an object, the constructor will be called. And whenever this constructor will be called, the same thing will be happened. That is written within this constructor. That means again, I will be initialized with the data variable I, and the SOP within this SOP, that is constructor is called, this will be printed. So if you write down this code in your editor and you will just run it, so what will be the output? Your output will be constructor is called, value of I equal to I5, and then another time here it will be written constructor is called, value of I is 5. Now look at this, the value of I is 5. This line will stop you think about the thinking of the utility of the constructor. If we are bounded to assign a particular value, a static value to an instance variable, each and every time whenever you are creating the object, then what is the necessity of creating new object? We all want to make some real life existence of another part with the same template, but not with the same value. If you all time we are assigning 5 in a variable I, then there is no utility of I. We are creating object for assigning a new value to this new data to this class variable, to this instance variable I. So that next time we can assign 7 here, next time we can assign 11 here, like that. Now look at this. In this constructor, we are just assigning the value of 5. So whenever the object of this class will be created, every time the value of I will be 5. Clear? That's why we will not use such type of constructor. Okay, we will always go for the parameterized constructor. Now look at the next example. Any doubt in this code? You can run this code, and if you have any doubt, you can also ask me. Look, how many number of codes you will run in your editor? That much time, that much ratio. In that ratio, you will get the knowledge. Do some erroneous code also. Try to make some error. If you are able to find out the type of the error message you are getting, you are familiar with the type of the error message, then that will also be beneficial for your coding capability. Because at the end of the day, you may be provided with a piece of code and you will be asked to find out the error. So don't think that every time you need to write down the code that is error free. If you have code that is there are some errors that are present in your code, then also it will be helpful to you. In which way? You need to have the capability to trace the error. Because in most of the cases, most of the interview, most of the professional exam, you may be provided, you can go for the GATE exam also. You will be provided with a piece of code and you will be need to find out either the output of the code or the error section of the code. So much time you will use several type of code, whether this is error free or erroneous. Both will help you in the same point. Okay, so try to execute each and every code, each and every section that you will get from the class session or from the lab session. Try to execute it. Try to use some mix and match. Okay, you are creating here two objects. Just try to assign a value to it. Then check what will happen. What will be the error message? So that from that error message, we will get familiar with the next. In the next few sessions, we will also discuss about the exception handling concept. That if there is an error, how we can handle your code, how you can control the overall coding section that is delivered by you. How the control will be in your hand, not on the compiler hand totally. Okay, that part also be discussed. So for that portion, at the very beginning, try to execute each and every code. Okay. So this is the case for no argument. Next, we will check the part that is the parameterized constructor. The virtual mode also one example of it, that is the parameterized constructor and no argument constructor. Okay, so look at this example. This is the pure example for parameterized constructor. The same thing happened here, the same class. In this class, here we are declaring one string type of variable, that is string. The variable name is language. Okay, and within the constructor, we are using one argument in this constructor, that is string lang. Next, the lang value is assigned to the language variable. Okay, this is similar just to a previous day example. And after that, you are providing a printing message, that is language is like that. Okay. Or first of all, you are just concatenate the value of this language with a particular string, that is the programming language. Normally, we have done the reverse part, that is programming language, then the value of the variable. Here, we have done the reverse part, that is first of all, we have just print the value of the object, and then we are concatenating a particular string here, that is the programming language. Clear? This is your constructor part. Now, next, whenever you are creating, look at this point, whenever you are creating separate object of this main class, here you are able to assign separate value of this language. Here we are putting Java, putting Python, putting C. So whenever this program will be executed, what will be the output? The output will be, look at this, Java programming language, Python programming language, C programming language. So that whenever you are creating new object, you are providing new instance of this class mains. Okay, each and every time whenever you are creating a particular object of this class, at that time a constructor of that class is automatically called. Okay, and whenever the constructor of this object is called, then the constructor body will be executed. So what will be the case? Here we are passing this value. Here for the first object it is Java. So Java is assigned in the language. And next time there is a SOP statement. In this SOP statement, the language will be printed first, so that the Java is printed first. Then it will be concatenated with another string, that is programming language. That's why whenever this particular line is executed, that is main obj1 equal to new main Java, what will be the output? This is Java programming language. Clear? The next time, similar in the same way, that will be happen for Python and C. So this can be the example for the parameterized constructor. Next, we will check, that is the Java default constructor. Look at this. Whenever we are not getting the concept of constructor, at that time we are just aware of the fact that a class have only two members. Either its field, that is the data variable, and next one is the method. The method is used for processing of the data variable. Okay, these two parts are the member of the class. We are not aware of the fact that there is a particular concept, there is a special type of method that is already assigned in the class. Already assigned means, I just want to say you that whenever you will create a particular object of that class, a constructor will be automatically called for that class. This concept is known as a default constructor. Look at this example. In this example, there is a main class, and within this main class we are declaring two data variables. One is integer and another is boolean. And in the main method, what we are doing? In the main method, look at this. We are creating one particular object of this main class. Now look at this point. Whenever you are declaring the object of this main class, first of all, what is the syntax? You need to write down the class of name of the class. then the object name, then equal to, then new operator, sorry, new keyword, and then the class name with this parenthesis. Now, this is nothing but the default constructor. You are not declaring or define any constructor within the class explicitly. But in the main method, you are creating only an object. But by the line of this object creation, you are by default calling the constructor of this class with no argument definitely, because you are not defining it inside the main class. So what will be the case? The case is like that whenever you will call you will call the object, then you can also assign the value to this object, and you can also print that the default value will be printed. You just call these two particular data variable, that is one integer data variable and another Boolean data variable, through the object of this class, then it will show you the default value. And you all know the default value of an integer variable is by default 0, and for Boolean it is false. That's why, since we are not assigning a particular value to this instance variable, it will show you the default value. But this is not related to the default constructor. This line is related to the default constructor. Okay, that you are creating a particular object of the main class. At the same time, in this line, you are basically call the constructor of this main class. That is not explicitly defined in the body of your main class. Clear? So this will be the case for the constructor. Now here is another concept that you can also make the same concept, that is the method overloading and constructor overloading. For this purpose, this is nothing dissimilar with that. That is, we all know that constructor is a special type of method. For this purpose, what you need to do, you need to define two or more constructor within a class, but with different parameter signature of the constructor. Here, constructor doesn't have any return type, so the return type doesn't play any role in the case of method overloading. And in other cases, in normal scenario, constructor will not play any role in case of method overloading. So what is be the case? The case is like that. For constructor, you need to define different parameter signature. So for the sake of simplicity, we can use one constructor that have no argument, and the other case we can assign one or two argument within that constructor. If this is the case, then you can say that this is the concept of implementing constructor overloading. Okay, we just check it in your coding section. Just a minute. Let me share the screen is visible to you, the editor.
Yes, ma'am.
Let me do one example with the constructor overloading, because this example is not given to your notes. Just go for our previous example, that is class. We have defined that is double height, width, and next we are declaring two constructors for this. First one is the argument. Here what we have, we're just assigning the value to h equal to 1, equal to 1. Okay, is the value of it, and depth equal to say 3. This is one constructor. Next, we are creating another with different argument in it, that is double say y say z. Okay. Next, we'll do, you need to assign this value to this instance variable so that we can make calculation of that variable. Next, h will be x assigned to h, value of y will be assigned to the variable w, and value of z assigned to this depth. Okay, these two are two constructors. Okay, next we need to define one method so that we can get the reflection of the calculation or processing of this data variable. Say void here we are just printing the volume of the calculation of it divided by width divided by depth. Yeah. So look at this, what we have done, we have created one box class, and after the creation of this box class, we are just declaring three instance variable, one for height, another for width, and another next one for depth. And next we are defining two constructor, one constructor without any argument and the next constructor with argument. Okay, in the first constructor, we are directly assign the value of this height, width, and depth with the value 1, 2, and 3. And for the next constructor, we have the facility so that we can assign the value of that object whenever we are declaring that object, so that we can change it according to our necessity. Okay, so next what we will do in the main method, within the main method, we will create of this box plus. So first time we are creating object without any argument. Next we will call the one method and check what will happen. And the second time we will do it again, that is we will create another object current value to it, say for example 10. Okay, next we will call this one to check the volume of the box with this value. Okay, clear to all of you? Now check what will happen. Now check, for the first time, whenever we are creating a particular box object without using any argument, so this constructor will be called. Sorry, the previous one. This constructor will be called with no argument. And in this constructor body, we have just assigned the value of this variable. That's why the first output, the volume of the box is 6 here. And look there, for the next time, whenever we are creating the another object we are just need to assign the value to it. Okay. So whenever this is the case, so this constructor will be called. So the value of 10, 20, and 30 will be assigned to age, width, and depth now. So the value of this volume of the box is right now, this is 6,000. Okay, this is the case. Now I just put it on your chat box so that this is a pure example for taking the constructor overloading. Here the because we are creating two constructor, one with no argument and another with argument. You can also check this code with this value that you are creating. You are not assigning a value to this constructor box. Next, you can check that what will happen. Look at this. The second time, the second constructor is not called. Only the first constructor will be called for the two objects, that is OB and OB1. Because from this parameter signature, the compiler will decide that which constructor will be called. Okay, in this constructor, there is no argument. That's why the first constructor is called. And in the first constructor, we have already assigned the value of height, width, and depth as a 1, 2, and 3. That's why the output will be 6 now. Clear? That is the example for constructor overloading. You can do it in your lab session as well as at your home. Any doubt till now? Any doubts, Sohel?
No.
Okay. Do practice on it. And if you have any doubt, you can also tell me. Okay, I am ending this class right now.